Good morning, KW Premier. We are about 3 minutes out, guys. 3 minutes out. So if you don't have that fresh cup of coffee, that morning snack, whatever it may be, you got about 3 minutes to go grab that, and we will get started. If you don't already have your cell phone, go grab your cell phone. Hopefully you're using Zoom from your laptop or desktop. You can have your cell phone with you. We're going to run through the consumer app actually on your cell phone. So grab your cell, grab your coffee, grab your snack, and we'll get right back at it about 3 minutes from now. 3 minutes. All right, guys, good morning. Hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to the Zoom webinar for the consumer app Q2 South Texas region KW Premier. Glad to see you guys. I just love looking through this list because it's like it's going home. So many names that I recognize and smiles that I wish I was seeing. Yet the reality is what COVID does, and we're going to do it via Zoom today. And I can't wait to see you guys next quarter so I can give hugs and handshakes and high fives. So first things first, today you are on a Zoom webinar. A Zoom webinar might be a little bit different than what you have been on before. If you've never been on a Zoom webinar, your camera is automatically turned off. You are automatically muted, and you can't change either one of those two things. So as much as you would want me to see the chaos that is happening in the background of your home, I cannot, and nor can anyone else. So don't stress about that. Additionally, you are automatically muted, as I said. If you do want to have a conversation with me, which I would love at some point, feel free. At the bottom of your screen, you should have a little button that says raise hand. It looks like a little hand. You can click on that button. That lets me know you want to have a conversation. I can unmute you from my side, and then we can have a discussion from there. So just kind of a heads up on that. Housekeeping, this is being recorded. So I will send you a link to this video, or I'll send it actually to your leadership team. and then they can get that back out to you for anyone that could not make the actual course, or if you have team members or if you have to jump off early, anything along those lines, we can accommodate you. So let's do this. Who do I? Megan, I'm going to make you a panelist. You don't have to turn on your camera should you choose not to, but that way I can talk to you live. So Megan, you now have the ability to unmute yourself. And if you want to turn on your camera, you can. You don't have to. I just have some questions for you. You're going to be my active participant today. And I didn't prepare Megan for this. So
no.
You guys know she's probably freaking out a little bit knowing Megan.
Thank you, Marty.
We're going to roll with it. How are you this morning, young lady?
I'm good. I'm too bad you can't see me. I'm wearing my Cinco de Mayo ears.
Oh, well, I think you can turn on your camera. Can you not turn on your camera on your side?
Let me try.
You can, maybe.
No, it said you stopped it. It says I can't start my video because the host stopped it.
I don't know how to turn that on, but that's all right. I'm sure it looks amazing.
All right,
so we are doing a class today on the KW Consumer app. Megan, what kind of app is it?
Well, it's an app for your consumers, so you want to be able to send it out to customers, clients, people that you want to do business with.
You had me at consumer, Megan. You had me at consumer. What type of app is it?
Consumer app.
It's a consumer app. All right, so first things first, right? That sounds a little elementary, guys, and yet I've had a lot of questions come in to me over the past, whatever, now we're going on 6 months or so. This app is built for the consumer. Okay, so there have been a lot of questions that have come in saying, well, how come I can't do this? And how come I can't do that? And I have to tell you, this was built for the consumer in mind, not necessarily built for the agent in mind. So about the first half of the class, we are gonna take off our agent hat. We're gonna set it aside. We're gonna put our consumer hat on, and we're gonna talk about what the app does for the consumer. You need to know this because one, we wanna make sure that we're getting the consumer onto using our app. The reality is the majority of your consumers probably already have an app on their phone, whether that's HAR, whether it's Zillow, whether it's Redfin, etc. And we want them using our app. So first half of the class, we're going to talk about all the cool features that this app has that you can then explain to your consumer when you're attempting to quote unquote sell them on using our app versus that one that they have on their phone. Second half of the course, we're going to talk about how KW Command can integrate with the consumer app. We'll put our agent hat back on. We'll talk about some of the features there. But let's go ahead and get started by showing you guys the app. So we are going to stop that share and we are going to share my phone. And give me just a second to get that set up for you guys. Come on. There we go. And there we go. And now you should be able to see my screen. The KW app, top left-hand corner, looks like KW, red letters, white background. Homework item number 1. If you don't have this app downloaded on your phone, we need you to go ahead and make that happen, okay? So no, Laura, I would love to hear your babies, but I cannot hear them. So go download the KW Realty app, top left-hand corner. I guess I should have introduced myself. Shame on me. I figured that you guys knew me, but there's probably some newer agents in the room. So my name is Marty Miller. I am your regional technology trainer for South Texas. The reason I know so many people in that room right now is that I have been with Keller Williams for 6 years and actually started my career, spent about 5 years at your market center at the KW Premier there. So started off as an independent agent. I joined the CTIM sell team as a buyer's agent, became a listing agent for the team. I opened our first expansion office when we opened a second office, came back to the home office, became the VP of sales, and then actually worked for Tim as the president of the team for several months as well. So we're a top 15 team. I know that Tim is doing an amazing job. The team is still doing really, really well. So I'm excited for you guys if you're on the call. Great work, keep it up. I had the opportunity to become a productivity coach after that. So it's been about 14 months following my passion for coaching, training, teaching, and served as a productivity coach for the KW Platinum Market Center, which is in Cypress, if you're not familiar. And then as of the first of the year, had this amazing opportunity to become your regional technology trainer. So I actually do live in Katy. I live in Old Katy off of Avenue D in Fawn Lake, if you're familiar. My amazing, beautiful wife, as you saw briefly earlier on the screen, also a KW agent. We actually met at Premier. So, we have amazing twin 5-year-old daughters, and we are expecting little baby on the way. August 19th, Lily May is due. So we'll see how that goes. Q3 might get a little interesting for all of us. but we're really excited about that. So that's me. This is your consumer app. So if you haven't downloaded it, question number one, you've got to make sure that you go and download the app, okay? When you download the app, remember, consumer hat on, I just downloaded a new app onto my phone, and it is a consumer app. So if it's the first time you have downloaded the app, you will be asked to make an account. It does not know that you are a KW agent, okay? So you cannot use any of your KW, you can create an account with that information, but you can't attempt to log in using information if you have not previously registered on the app. So make sure that you register on the app using an email, password, all that stuff. You're going to create an account just like any other consumer would, right? When you do that, you're going to open up the app. It's going to look so similar to this. Now, item number one, if you look at your app right now today and the word you, Y-O-U, is in the bottom right corner of your screen, you have an older version of the app, you need to go run an update to update the version of the app that you have. The most recent version, which happened about 4 weeks ago now, I think, changed the word you to more, just made it a little more understanding, if you will. So bottom right corner, if it says you, go run an update. I want you to go ahead and click on the more button in the right corner there. If you have a bar across the top of the screen that has a pretty picture of someone you know, including yourself, your app, it has been branded to an actual agent. If for any reason your app looks like this, your app has not been branded to an amazing agent. And so in that case, if you are doing this on your phone with your app, you'll most likely want to brand it to yourself so you can see how things work between command and consumer later down the road. So in order to brand the app to yourself, and this is the same process the consumer would do if they were not following your branded app link. Okay, so if you send them your branded app link, then the version they download should be already branded to you. However, trust but verify as far as that goes, you want to click on Find an Agent, and you can see that I can search by the name of a specific agent. However, if I didn't know a specific agent, I could actually just start typing in Katy, Texas, and I can choose that city, and all of a sudden it's going to start showing me an entire list of agents that are available for me to choose from in Katy, Texas. I can start scrolling through and see a whole list of people that are in the Katy area. All right, this is looking good. Gotta tell you, this looks better than some of the screens I've seen now. Let's just say we get right about here. Okay, I don't know all of the agents on this screen. I know a couple of them, and yet what I do know is they're all amazing agents. And yet, that being said, in the chat, if you had to choose 2 of the 6 agents listed on the screen, which 2 would you work with if you were a consumer and had no knowledge of any of the 6 agents listed on the screen? And if you're listed on the screen and you're not one of the ones that's being chosen, no harm, no foul, because we can get it corrected. Yes, 100%. Steve, Megan, Leobel, Mary, yes. The ones with the pictures, okay? So homework item number 2. First, you gotta go download it. You gotta connect it to yourself. The next piece of homework that you have is to go into your command marketing settings and your KW Connect marketing settings and make sure both of those are fully filled out. Okay, we want your headshot, we want your bio, we want your accreditations, we want the market center address. All of that information needs to be filled out. I'll give you an example with a guy I know pretty well. If you go search for your name, you can actually then pair this app with yourself. So you can see I've got my headshot, I've actually got my team name because I'm on a team. You can see my team logo, my market center address, my website for my actual team, specialties and designations, information about phone numbers, email, and then my entire bio. Okay, so completely filled out, ready to roll. If this is the first time you're branding the app to yourself, just like the consumer would have to do, you would click on Get in Touch at the bottom of the screen. Once you click on Get in Touch, it's going to say, hey, this designates Marty Miller as your new agent, and I can click on Confirm. And now, when you come back out, you'll see that I have branded the app to myself. I am now my agent. So if I were sending this out to a consumer and a consumer said, yes, I downloaded it, I might take a screenshot of this exact screen right now and just send it to them and say, cool, just wanted to verify. You can either say, hey, you see my beautiful face when you click on more, right? Or you can send them a screenshot of this page and say, just want to make sure your app looks like this. Trust and verify. Typically, when the consumer is downloading the app from your link, it should automatically be branded to you. Are there glitches in the matrix? Of course. Number two, I've sent my link to people and they have not clicked on the link. They're just like, oh, Marty wants me to download an app, and they're already app savvy. So they go straight to the app store and download it, which is not the one I wanted them to download because that one's not branded to me. I want them to download mine. So when you're working with consumers, just verify that their screen looks like this, so that way we know it's 100% branded to you. All right, now we want to start searching for a property. Consumer hat is on. I'm interested in possibly buying a house or selling a house. I just want to know more about what's happening. Let's go search for a house. So I'm going to click on the magnifying glass there in the bottom left-hand corner. And you can see now I've pulled up the search screen with the map visible. Megan Wyatt, if you were to go on vacation this year, and there was anywhere you wanted to go in the US, where would you go? What would you do? What would you go see?
I would love to take my boys to the Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon. Do you know the address of the Grand Canyon, Megan?
No, sir.
That's okay. I don't either. Let's search for Grand Canyon and search. Megan, does that look like the Grand Canyon?
I see the Colorado River. So yeah, if you back out, maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Start scrolling out.
That is it.
Soon, maybe I don't want to fly to the Grand Canyon every year. I just like to live nearby. There are houses available around the Grand Canyon. Megan, you visited the Grand Canyon. Where would you go next?
I would like to go to probably somewhere in Florida. Let's say Pensacola Beach.
Pensacola. Do you know the address there?
No, sir.
Oh, well, let's see if there's any houses for sale at Pensacola Beach.
Okay.
That looks like Pensacola Beach, Megan?
Yes, it does. It does. I've been there.
Did you put in a street address?
No, I didn't. I don't know a street name there.
Did we put in a state?
No, actually.
No. Megan, you ever been to the White House?
I've not inside it, but I've been outside of the fence and barricades.
There you go. Did you know there's houses for sale around the White House?
Wow, no, I did not.
What about the Statue of Liberty?
Unfortunately, I've never seen the Statue of Liberty.
Well, maybe you want to see it from your third floor balcony.
Would love that.
And let's see what houses are for sale around the Statue of Liberty.
Wow.
Megan, you like to drink wine?
Yes.
So do I. My favorite winery, one of them in Napa, is Silver Oak Winery. Sometimes I think maybe I should live near Silver Oak Winery. And then I look at the prices of the houses around Silver Oak Winery and realize why I still live in Katy, Texas. Megan, did I put a single address in any one of those things that I just searched for?
No, you did not.
Did I put a city? Did I put a state?
No, you did not.
Searching for landmarks is available with the KW Consumer app. Megan, did we rehearse this?
No, sir.
Right, so I was literally just kind of getting some random landmarks from Megan. She said she wanted to go see the Grand Canyon. And boom, all we had to do was put in Grand Canyon, and immediately we were able to see properties that were for sale around the Grand Canyon. Then we said Pensacola Beach. I didn't know she wanted to go to Pensacola Beach, but all I had to do was type in Pensacola Beach, and immediately I can see homes for sale around Pensacola Beach, around the White House, around the Statue of Liberty. Guys, I volunteer for the rodeo, right? Terry and Steve do as well. And we know that some of those 9, 12-hour shifts that we work, it'd be nice if we could just go to an investment property, right? So instead of having to actually Reliant Energy, that's why that came back, Reliant Stadium. What if I wanted to buy an investment property near Reliant Stadium so I could just crash there instead of having to drive all the way back to Katy? Here are properties for sale around Reliant Stadium, right? A more of a Houston-based search. So you can see that you have the ability, and the consumer does as well. I'm training you guys how to use this. Rico, yes, you do have to sign up, just like the consumer would have to. So you can see that you can search for landmarks on the actual app without knowing the address, the state, the city. Just, I want to know, what are home prices around X? Guys, this is driven because we have an exclusive partnership with Google. You can actually see Google in the bottom left-hand corner. Their logo is right there. When you start searching in that top bar, Google basically says, what's the most likely area or address associated with this search term? And let's zoom in on them. Now, I can't tell you that you're driving through somewhere in Texas and you're in a quaint little town that has a bed and breakfast called the White House, and you want to know what properties for sale around the White House, and you type in the White House and you get taken to DC, right? Well, that's because a lot more people think that's the White House versus your little Airbnb. So just know there's some caveats there, and yet it's still a pretty cool tool when you are searching for very popular landmarks or things along those lines. So that's search item number one. How do I search via a landmark? Megan, what's your favorite neighborhood in Katy? Or Fulshire, or Richmond, or Rosenberg, or Sugar Land, or Houston.
Let's try, this one may be a good challenge. Let's try Fulshire Creek Crossing.
Fulshire Creek Crossing. Okay, I'm going to search for that. Megan, is that Fulshire Creek Crossing?
Well, yes, it is.
Let's see. And you can be transparent with me if that's not it. Let's figure it out.
No, I believe it is. Yeah, because I see Bessie's Creek. That's it.
Okay, so there, all I had to search for was Fulshire Creek Crossing, and it zoomed me in on Fulshire Creek Crossing neighborhood. Okay, you can see these blue lines as I start to zoom in. Those are the neighborhoods out there in the Fulshire area. Now, who defines those neighborhoods? Right, that's another partnership that we have with Nextdoor. Okay, Nextdoor has several 100,000, I think it's over 200,000 defined neighborhoods. And because of our exclusive partnership with those neighborhoods, we can actually start to see the boundaries of those neighborhoods show up. Steve said Ellison, or maybe it was Terry. I'm not sure if you guys sit next to each other, but we can search for Ellison. All of a sudden, is this Ellison, right? No, that one's Ellison because it actually shows the neighborhood name there as I zoom in. So I can actually click on, now I know Ellison well, I've sold 2 houses in Ellison, but maybe you have no familiarity with it, and you get a call from a buyer or a seller saying, we live in Ellison and we want to buy or sell. And you're like, I don't know, I know Steve and Terry live there, but I don't know anything about it. Cool, let's go ahead and pull up the consumer app, type in Ellison. You saw, I didn't need to know the address. I didn't need to know, is that south of 99, north of 99? I don't have to know anything about it other than the name of the neighborhood. Now I can click on the name of the neighborhood, and all of a sudden I'm going to start getting data about Ellison, right? I can see the average days on market, the average home price per square foot. I can start seeing what locals say. This is driven by Spatial.ai, which is an AI company. A lot of the data points, and there's millions of them, but a lot of them are based upon your purchasing habits. So a lot of times if you're using, take for example, a Kroger's card, right? Any sort of loyalty card, anytime you use a debit card or a credit card, they're tracking those transactions. Guys would like to think that it's private, it's not. So they can actually see based upon our purchasing patterns and our home address and then start to put together data like this. I can start to see commute times. Now the neighborhoods are going to be based upon the center of the city where that neighborhood is. However, I'm going to show you in a second how we can actually go from a particular listing and know commute times to different areas. So we'll get to that when we actually pull up the actual listings inside the neighborhood. Next, I can get nearby school information. How often do you hear it, right? I can hear Lorraine telling me it now. Marty, don't be the source of the information, be the source of the information. Great, your consumer app can actually be the source of the source. Steve, I actually clicked on the name of the neighborhood. So when Ellison came up on the map, I clicked on the name, and there you'll see there's the market snapshot there. I just dragged it up and I can start seeing the data about the actual neighborhood, including the elementary schools. Now, as I understand, I'm pretty sure that all 3 of these elementary schools are relatively new, probably within the last year or 2. It does take a little bit of time for the data to get loaded in. If we were to choose, let's zoom in on Cinco, right? So I could just type in Cinco Ranch. And we're going to get all the Cincos there as I start to zoom in. All right, let's do Cinco Ranch Fountain View. And I can start to see the information about this neighborhood by dragging up. And now I can see the school scores for those schools start to show up because they've been around longer. So Williams, nationally 97%, Beck 97%, Cinco High 96%. I can see the student-teacher ratio. If I have a preference for private school, you can see there are the private schools listed, right? Next, and I know we just keep talking about partnerships, but we're going to add one more. We've got Nextdoor, we've got Google, and we have Yelp. Okay, Yelp is actually integrated into the consumer app. So if I were to buy a property in the Cinco Ranch Fountain View neighborhood, well, am I near anything cool, right? Are there any restaurants nearby, grocery stores, nightlife, cafes, shopping, arts and entertainment, fitness? You can see as I zoom in on this map, I get all of those places. Look at all the restaurants. I can scroll up a little bit and I can start to see here are all of the restaurants that are nearby, what their ratings are, right? And I've got restaurants, I've got a running place, I have got arts and entertainment, a gym, martial arts studio, the Y, right? So a ton of information there that helps the consumer know more about the actual neighborhood. And again, that's all being provided by Yelp on the map, right? So that's the ability to search by neighborhood. How often do you hear it? I don't know much about Katy, but I know Cinco Ranch is a nice neighborhood. What do you know about Cinco? Oh, I don't know much about, I've heard Ellison's a really cool new neighborhood. Oh, I heard, Weston Lakes is supposed to be really nice. Guys, you can't be an expert in every single neighborhood in all of Katy. I mean, even those of you that have been doing it for 10 to 20 years, like new neighborhoods are popping up. You're like, I don't know, I've never been to that neighborhood. Just buy in Cinco, right? So here's an opportunity for you to get to know better neighborhoods as an agent by searching on the consumer app. Use this just like they would. Consumers can get to know better about neighborhoods. Why is one neighborhood so much different than another one? Okay, I can dive into the neighborhoods and start finding out more information. So that's the ability to search by neighborhood. Now, let's search by just a standard home filter, right? So I'm gonna put in price. Let's say I'm looking to be between, let's say 270 to 350. Okay, so that's a realistic price point. And bedrooms, well, 3 daughters means at least 4 bedrooms. Property type, 2 dogs means a single family house. And then I'm going to click on more. Okay, so I've clicked on each one of those buttons at the top of the screen there, and I slid the sliders on the price. I clicked on those little white dots. I moved them left and I moved them right to get a price range. Then I clicked on bedrooms and I said 4 plus. I clicked on houses. I chose houses, meaning I want a single family house. And then I'm going to click on more, top right corner, more. Now I get into additional listing filters that I can start scrolling down and going through. If I click on listing type, you'll see that the app defaults to show active for sale listings. Okay, for any reason I just wanted to, I don't know, see some pending listings to see how quickly houses are going under contract. Or there's an example. So Nicole and I were walking through Fawn Lake a couple of days ago, and I saw a listing that I was not familiar with. I pulled up my KW app, and I'll be transparent, I was kind of annoyed that it didn't show the listing. I'm like, oh, great, it's broken. Then I pulled it up on HAR and realized that the house was actually pending. So that's why it wasn't showing up on my KW app, because it defaults to active for sale listings. So if that ever happens to you or your consumer, just verify, is the property you're standing in front of actually under contract already? That's when it would show up as pending. Guys, there are 1,400 MLSs in the country. I mean, that's crazy just to think about. Like, we're blessed with HAR. It's one big one for our entire city. There's a lot of cities that have multiple MLSs just within the same city. That being said, they are working on data feeds constantly, because these MLSs change one little thing in their code and it can impact our app. That being said, right now, I do not believe HAR is feeding in foreclosures and short sales into our app, but they are actively working on that. If for any reason your consumer is looking for lease properties, they would need to, again, click on listing type for sale and then scroll down, and then they can toggle on for rent. And you can see that they have the ability then to search for lease properties, or I can toggle back on for sale, and now I'm looking at active properties for sale. I can choose bathrooms. 3 daughters means at least 3 bathrooms. Living area, we're in 2,600 right now. It's made the quarantine interesting, to say the least. Let's go 3,000. Who wants to clean a 10,000 square foot house? Let's cap it out at 4,000. You can see I can also go through some additional filters there on the app as the consumer. Once I have chosen everything, I can click on done, right? And then I need to go back to price. For some reason, sometimes that price one just doesn't quite hold. And we're gonna go back. So that's 240, I got fat fingers. Let's just do 240, 350, done. Okay, so now Oh, I got to get out of Cinco Ranch. There we go. Now to start searching for homes. So you can now see on my map homes that are available for sale in this current view of property that are between 240 and 350, active on the market, 4+ bedroom, single family homes with at least 3 bathrooms, anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000 square feet. Now, what if I say, well, I only want to live on the east side of 99. I want to live north of West Park, but south of Highland Knolls. I can click on the little draw button. Does everyone see the little finger pointing up, right? You Texas Tech Red Raiders got excited. No, it's just a finger, okay? So click on draw, and then I can actually trace by holding my finger on the screen the area that I'm interested in actually living in. And there, now I've outlined an area on the map that I want to look for properties in. And because I've outlined that area, you can see there are no other houses showing up outside of the area. Now that just took me about 5 minutes, maybe more, to put all my filters into the consumer app. I don't want to have to do this every time I come back and open up the consumer app. Wouldn't it be nice every time I logged into the app, I could just access this search again? Well, you can. We're going to click on the ribbon in the top right corner, just below more, just above the finger. It actually says save on it. So I'm going to click on save. And I'm going to call this search Cinco west of spelling, come on, there it is, of 99. And I'm going to click on save in the top right corner. Now it gives me an alert, your search has now been saved. Okay, great. So if later on I was searching for homes, I'm gonna clear all my filters, I'm gonna come in here and I'm just gonna, right, this is what it would look like if I came back into the app later on. And I'm like, man, I didn't wanna see all this stuff. I just wanna see that little search I had set up yesterday or the day before. Now I can click on the heart button at the bottom. Everyone see it? It's the 4th icon over. It says saved. I'm gonna click on saved. And there's my recent saved search. So I can click on that saved search and boom, immediately I'm taken back to that little drawing that I made with the criteria that I set before. Guys, you can have multiple saved searches. How do I know? Click on view all next to recent saved searches. And if you're like me and you've taught this class twice a day for the last week or so, you have set up a lot of saved searches. So you could set up a search for properties that were near your investment property just because you want to know what's happening in that area. You could set up, I might want to live in Cypress, I might want to live in Katy, I might want to live in Fulshire, I'm not really sure, right? Ever dealt with one of those clients? They can set up a search for each one of those areas. They could set up searches that were dreams, right? At some point, maybe someday in the future, I'd love to live on Lake Travis. I'd love to have a boat and be on the water, right? You can see it. There's my vision board with my boat. Beep, beep. Okay, so I could set up a search for Lake Travis homes and then realize that that's probably more of a 10-year plan than a 5-year plan, right? So you can see that they can have a variety of saved searches set up as a consumer on their app. Guys, you can do the same thing. If you're wanting to just keep an eye on things that are happening in your neighborhood, near your investment property, just in popular neighborhoods there in Katy, so you're aware of kind of what's happening in new listings, things like that, you could set up those searches as well. Now let's dive into one of these actual properties. So we'll click on this one right near Cinco Ranch, listed at 309,990. I'm going to click on the photo. I'm just going to hold down on it with my thumb, and then I'm going to drag up. You can see that then pulls the listing in full, right, onto the screen. At the top, we can see there are 27 photos, and I can swipe left and start going through all of the photos of the actual listing. Just below that, you can see there is the price of the listing, $309.90, and just below that, there's actually a little green squiggly that says this property had a recent price reduction of $10,000. I can see that this is a 5-bedroom home, 3.5 baths, 3,200 square feet, and just below that, I can easily see the address. We know how it works. As I swipe through, I'm like, yep, I think this one might be a keeper. I'm interested. I want to save it. I can click on the heart button that says save. What that's going to do is say, okay, great. Do you want to save it to your favorites, which is by default the only collection that they will have to start. They will only have favorites that'll show up, okay? And the next thing that I could also choose would be to create my own collection. Maybe I want to create a collection of homes that are in Cinco, and then some that are in Fulshire and some that are in, right? Depending on where we're looking. So let me click on create new collection. And I could actually call this, I've used it before, but let's just say this was Cinco and 4+ bed. And I could create that collection. Okay, and once I've done that, I can then click on the radio button, a little white button next to that collection, and then click on save. And I have now created that collection and added this property into that collection. If I see another house that I like, I'm like, hey, this is another one that might be one that we could do. Yep, let me look through this. Yep, looks like a winner. I could click on the heart button at the picture or scroll up and click on save as well. I can say, yep, this is another Cinco 4+. I want to save it to that collection and then click on save again. As I pull down that listing, oops, there we go. You can see that I have that saved button at the bottom again. Remember, look at the map. First of all, both of these showed up as favorites with hearts on the screen, but I can also click on save towards the bottom right. And now I also have my saved searches and my recent collections. I can then click on the collection and I can see the 2 properties that I have added to that collection. So I've got one there in Edendale, one on Salton. If I even want to, I could add additional notes, right, to each one of those listings just to kind of keep me, this is the one with the garage, you really like. This is the one with the backyard Nicole really likes, whatever it may be, right? So just so you can kind of know, why did I add that to my collection? Oh yeah, that's the one that has the great backyard, whatever it may be, right? When we're actually in one of the listings, we're going to start diving through what happens there. So you have the ability to pull up homes that are saved. What if I'm looking in the area and I say, you know what? I'm looking at this map and every time I come in, I see these 2 at the bottom. Those are just too far south. I don't think that those are ones that are going to fit for me. So I could actually click on this one and say, I've looked at this one before. It's not a good fit. And I want to hide it. Okay. I'm going to click on hide, and you'll see the eye, I joke that it turns bloodshot, right? You got that little red cross, hard to kind of see on the screen, but easier to see on your app. And then when I come back to the map, that house is now grayed out. And if I were to move the map away from it and come back, that property no longer shows up on the map. Okay, so anytime that I come back and do a search in this area, because I've hidden that specific listing, it will not show up any further. I can come over, now sometimes this happens where you're like, wait a minute, my wife is telling me about some listing that's near Fry and Peak and I don't see it on my map. Ooh, I think I hid one yesterday. If you click on the more button in the top right-hand corner, I can come up and scroll to the very, very bottom underneath the listings filter and you can see show hidden listings. And now when I click on done, there's that listing again. It sort of shows, it indicates that you've hidden it, but it shows on the map. I can click on it and actually drag up, click on the hide button one more time, and now the property is no longer hidden, right? So it would now show up on the map. I also have the ability to share, just like any of the other major apps. I can click on share, and I can send this via quick text. I can send this as a text message, email, Facebook, Slack, Discord, whatever communication apps you may have on your phone. Now, just as a heads up, when you share an app, a property from the app, you're actually sharing a web link, meaning that the person that the consumer is sharing with it does not have to have their app downloaded. It does not pull it up in the app. It actually just sends them a link to a single property web page that they would then view in Chrome or Safari or whatever it may be, right? So whatever internet browser they are using, then you could see basically what the property looks like. You guys are putting some amazing questions in there, and I'm going to answer some of them later and some of them soon. So know that I see them and I'm coming back to them soon, okay? All right, so next under Save, Hide, and Share, you've got two buttons there. You've got Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered. What a great CYA, right? And when I say that, obviously when you're working with buyers and sellers, honestly, you want to be talking about Keller Mortgage and what a great opportunity that the buyer has, or the possibility that the buyer on your listing could have to save a whole lot of money on their actual loan. And yet sometimes you'll forget to have that conversation, even though you intend to have it. Every now and then you might forget. Well, here's the kind of fail-safe method of making sure that you don't forget. It's actually included in the consumer app. They can click on either one of those two buttons and be immediately taken to the page that has the information there. Right? Now I'm going to click on Read More. And you can see there's a full description of the actual property pulled from the MLS. Hey, Megan, you still there? Double check, make sure Megan.
I am. I'm here.
Awesome. Megan, who's the listing agent on this property?
I don't know. I can't tell.
What do you mean you can't tell?
Well, there's no agent name. It just says courtesy of Keller Williams Platinum. So I guess it's a platinum agent, a KW Platinum agent.
So if Megan, you were my consumer and I was your agent, you had questions about this, who would you have to contact to get those questions answered?
You.
Yeah. Guys, your consumers are using apps that have the listing agent's information on the listing. Meaning sometimes they even have an app that they're using that lists multiple agents, right? The premier ones, you know who I'm talking about. The KW consumer app does not list any information about the listing agent, specifically because Keller Williams knows how hard it took for you to convert Megan from some random Facebook lead 16 months ago into a real live human being who then waited 12 months to tell me she's finally ready to look at buying a house, and now I've got her on my app, and gosh darn it, I don't want her to have the ease of circumventing me to go directly to the listing agent. All right, now I have an amazing value prop and Megan would never do that, and yet more friction. Now let's be real, can they go to HAR, can they go to Zillow, can they find the listing agent? Sure. However, that's more work. Click on Ask Your Agent, it's a lot easier. If I had a question about, hey, did this house flood? Yeah, I could go find out who the listing agent was and attempt to call them or email them or text them. Or I could just ask my agent and say, hey, Megan, do you know if this house flooded? And then Megan could get answers back to me, right? That way that communication stays with the agent whose branded app they have. Okay, so it's not a selling point for the consumer per se, but it should certainly be a selling point for you in that you work hard to get your contacts on this app. I want you to be able to get their requests back, right? So cool thing, there's no other listing information included other than the brokerage and what MLS is being used as the source of the information. As we continue to scroll down, you can see additional information about the home details. I can click on See More. And obviously this is being pulled all from the MLS as well. Next, we showed you neighborhoods earlier. Here's another place where they can get neighborhood information. So, okay, this looked like a good looking house, but I'm not familiar with Grand Lakes. Let me look into more. I can see basic market stats right there on the screen, or I can click on Explore and actually get all of that same information that we were talking about earlier with Ellison, right? So let me close that neighborhood. I'm going to click on that arrow in the top left. We're going to scroll back down. And then I've got what locals say. We talked about that. Walkability is provided by a partnership with LiveBy, which is a kind of a think tank that determines based upon walking trails and proximity to grocery stores and shopping centers and churches and parks and etc. How walkable is this property? Think about like San Francisco. I mean, you could walk next door to a grocery store. We're a little more car dependent, but we're a little more master plan community as well. So we take the good with the bad, all right? Commute times. So I did this class yesterday for the Sugar Land office, and you can see they chose two locations. They chose Whole Foods right there at 59 and Highway 6 as an important location, and they chose their office. So if you worked at Sugar Land or Southwest Market Center, you could see it's a 21-minute drive to get to their market center. However, we all know that we live in Katy for one reason, and that's Torchy's Tacos, right? So if I wanted to find out how far it was to Torchies. I think I got to put the apostrophe in there. It's still there, right? I haven't been to La Centera in quite a while. They didn't close that, did they? Megan hasn't been there either.
No, it's still there. Sorry, I was trying to unmute, and it wasn't working.
All right, so let's just put in La Centera as a whole, right? So I can see La Centera at Cinco Ranch. I want to add that as one of my locations. Awesome. It's only going to take me 10 minutes to drive to La Centera from my house if this is the house that I purchased. But what if I know, hey, you know what, it's not usually one taco, it's two, and man, the bottomless queso is amazing. So I need to bike off some of those calories. How long would it take me to ride to La Centera? 17 minutes. Maybe I'm just a real fitness nut and I want to walk or run there. I could click on walking and see it's going to take me about an hour walking. You figure out where the drive is. All right, so we'll factor in that drive. So Karen, originally there was a button here that said add place. The consumer can only have 3 places in the app. So I'm going to show you where they can go to remove the other 2. However, if they're looking at a listing and they don't have any places selected, they can add them from the actual listing. Now that I have the 3 selected, I'll show you where to go in just a second to remove some of those and add additional ones should I choose to. Again, I can see the school information about this particular, right, which schools are zoned to this exact house. I can see if there are any upcoming open houses. There's a mortgage payment calculator. Just be real careful with these guys, right? We know that a $340,000 house is not going to cost them $1,300. So it does not factor in taxes. It doesn't factor in interest. It's really just principal. So use that with a grain of salt. As you continue down, more information about Keller Mortgage, Keller Covered, activity, nearby listings, and then you'll see marketing and legal information at the very bottom of every listing, just to make sure that everybody is doing the right thing, right? So that is a full listing breakdown. So you can see all of the information about the actual listing itself. Now, Karen asked, how do I edit the places? How do I add places if I'm not actually in a listing? Well, I can click on the More button in the bottom right-hand corner. I get taken into my menu, and I can click on My Account. Okay, My Account is where Places is hiding. You can see the third option down says Places. If I click on Places, you can see there are the 3 that I've selected, and I can click on the trash can if I don't care about the Southwest office or the Whole Foods over there. I can remove those. I can actually click on Add Another Place. Let's say maybe it's Target, because Lord knows we all want to live near a Target. You can see Target's there. It might be the actual address. 22, what is it? It's been a while. I know it's Westheimer Parkway.
22762.
There it is. Sorry, a lot of things running around that brain. So Westheimer Parkway, I could add that as my location. And then when I'm looking at listings and say, hey, if I lived in this house, how long would it take me to drive to the office? I could click on this one. I could scroll back up to places, and I could see, all right, it's going to take me 7 minutes to get to work. Maybe I want to bike it. It'll take me 16 minutes to bike. Okay, so that's how you can add places, remove places. I've had buyers before that have literally told me, our mom lives with us and she wants to be able to walk to church. I say, great, what church? And they say, oh, well, we would love to continue to go to this church. Okay, so I could then instruct them how to add the location, add the address for that church into their consumer app. And then anytime they're looking at any other listing in the area, they would know what kind of walk time it would be to get to church. Or maybe it's a grocery store, or I want to live within biking distance of a gym because I really like working out. I don't know, right? So you can see all the different use cases. And a lot of times really it's, okay, how long will it take me to drive to work? How long will it take me to drive to the kids' school? How long will it take me to drive to church? How long will it take me to drive to, X? So you could put those places in, which is a really cool feature not provided by a lot of those other apps. So again, remember these things that I'm training you on, you want to be thinking about them as when I go to quote unquote sell my app to someone that says, I'm good, I already got an app. Well, does your app do this? Let me show you some of the things that our app does. How many of you, show of hands, right? There's a little raise hand button down at the bottom. I told you about that earlier. You knew we were going to come back to it. How many of you are like me? You're out walking. Someone already raised their hand. Like, yes, I'm like you. Thank you. You're out walking, you're driving, you're biking, you're traveling, and you see a for sale sign. And the first thing you want to know is what? How much is it? I don't even like that house. I don't even like this neighborhood. I don't even know where I am, but I want to know how much it is, right? So here's another cool thing that we can do within our consumer app. No matter where you are in the US or Canada, doesn't matter where you are in the US or Canada, if you want to know how much is that listing, and I just drove by it or I'm standing outside it, I'm biking by it, you can pull up your consumer app and click on that little arrow at the very top right corner, right below where my battery is. It's cockeyed to the left. If you click on that, boom, immediately the GPS in your phone takes you exactly where you are standing, sitting, biking right now. And so obviously I've got my filters set up, but if I came back in and cleared out my filters and then clicked on done, it would show you all the houses that are located around where I stand right this second. Okay, so a cool thing, again, guys, it's not just Katy. They could be in Houston or Cypress or Dallas or San Antonio or San Francisco or Napa Valley, for crying out loud, right? And they could literally say, oh, that looks like a cute little house. Wonder how much that one is. And then you realize it's a 1.2 million, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and you come back to Texas, right? So it's a great way anytime they're traveling in the US, anywhere in Canada, immediately based upon their GPS locator, where do I stand right now and how much is that home or that home or that home that's right outside my window or next to the sidewalk, whatever it may be. Okay, so I'm gonna lower all your hands. Now I'm gonna ask you, how many of you are like me that you have gone on a showing or a listing appointment before and you get to the house and you're like, ooh, wish I would have known it back to that. Anyone had that situation happen before where you're like, oh, didn't realize it backs to a car wash? Or Cinco Ranch High School's band marching field and they're playing every morning, 7 a.m., right? You guys feel me? So here's the cool thing. I did that one time. The mistake only happened once when I worked with Tim. I went on a listing appointment. I had a CMA put together with a great price. And then I got to the house and they backed to a car wash. No lie, a car wash. And my CMA was out the window. I'm like, you can't sell for this. You back to a car wash. I got to reduce that price. How do I do it? I don't know. I'm literally shooting from the hip at this point because I've never comped a house that backs to a car wash. So from that point forward, I always used Google Earth. Anytime I went on a listing appointment, before I went on the listing appointment, I would pull up Google Earth on my computer. I would put in the address and I would look to see, okay, what's around the house. Guys, who do we have an exclusive partnership with regards to this app? Megan, do you remember? Who's
What's the question?
The exclusive partnership, one of many. It's on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen.
Oh, Google.
Google, right? Well, wouldn't it be nice if we had Google Earth automatically incorporated into our app? Wow. You asked and they delivered. We're going to click on more in the top right-hand corner, just below that arrow that I showed you earlier. Let's click on more. You're going to see 2 tabs. We spent a lot of time on that listings filter tab earlier. But I want you to click on map now. Click on map. You're going to see 2 options. The default one is what we've had the entire time. We can see neighborhoods, we can see streets, we can see bodies of water and parks, etc. Let's click on satellite and then click on done in the top right-hand corner. Now what happens? What? Now I can zoom in and I can see the car wash or whatever it might be. Right? So if you were looking to help me sell this investment property that I office out of now, and you were pulling your comps and you're like, man, I'm getting 175, 165, 180, 179, and then 500. How in the heck is there a $500,000 house as a comp in that neighborhood? Well, you can actually zoom in and say, wow, it looks like the neighborhood Marty's investment property is in, wow, it's right across from some much larger properties that are on acreage that obviously look like much larger houses. Oh, that's the reason, right? What if you were going to sell, I don't know, let's check out a listing. Maybe you got to take this amazing listing right here, right? You see it? Well, that's actually an apartment. This one here, right? What's it back to? Backs to a donut shop, which might not be the worst thing in the world, but probably not the best thing in the world either. Okay, so those of you that are familiar, that's the donut shop there on 99 or on Avenue B. So the cool thing is that you can now zoom in on any property anywhere and kind of see what's happening. There's a lot of times, honestly, when I even go on walks with Nicole, we'll be walking or we'll be driving, and I'll be like, what is that back there? Because I can't quite see. And literally, I'm pulling up my KW consumer app, I'm clicking on the satellite view, and I'm like, oh, it just looks like it's raw land, right? Just looks like, oh, what is that back there? How far have they developed out, right? And I can look and see, oh, which streets are they building next in Cane Island? And I can see, oh, which houses have they actually finished, right? And so the satellite, now again, it's not passing over. I don't believe it's every day. I think it's, weekly, maybe even monthly. And yet it gives you a pretty decent idea of what's happening from the aerial view. So again, that's the more button in the top right-hand corner, and then clicking on map, and then switching back and forth between default or satellite, and then done. Now I'm back at my satellite view, or excuse me, my default view with my neighborhoods, my streets, my saved properties. All right, so somebody asked earlier, can I search by school district? Oh, would that be important to you? Katy, independent school district, search.
Marty, can you do Katy ISD also, or do you need to type everything out?
That's a great question. Let's try it.
Okay.
Katy ISD, search. I don't think it's going to pull the ISD. I think it actually has to be the school district.
Okay.
Independent. Oops, spelled that wrong. District. Well, for some reason today it doesn't want to show it. Let's see. There. Never goes wrong when I'm practicing by myself, but when you get 70 people on a live webinar, that's when it chooses to get funky. So it looks like the school districts are not pulling up right now. However, that's just going to zoom me in on SciFair. It is built in, so we'll have to see what's going on, or if they change something about the actual school districts. I did this yesterday, literally with Fort Bend, and it worked. So might be a little glitch, always small glitches in the matrix, and yet, yes, typically you should be able to search by school district. You cannot search for an actual house with a, in an actual school. Like I want to be zoned to Williams. It has to be Katy, and then you'd have to kind of see the map. Now, here's what I could do. If I knew that, let's just say, let me zone in here. The girls are actually third generation Katy Elementary. So if I knew, hey, we want to move, but we want to stay within the boundaries of Katy Elementary, I could look up the map on the actual website, and you know how they look, right? Sometimes they just look like this. And then I could say, okay, great. Those are all the properties that are in, now that's just a random drawing. And if I had the website for the actual ISD pulled up, I could do my best to trace the streets and then see, and then I could save this as my own search, knowing that this was my hand-drawn Katy Elementary zone for the school. So you could do it that way as well. All right, so we've talked a lot about viewing the listings. Let's go through some questions on listings, and then we're gonna get into guide. Abir, I have home showing from everywhere in the area I'm looking for in Katy. Not sure what that one's about. Maybe reach out to me afterwards. We'll see if we can't get that corrected. Ray, one-story homes, not quite there yet. No. Right now, there's no differentiation between the 1 and the 2 that I have seen. Karen is saying Katy High School worked. Well, maybe my app just doesn't want to be fun today. So good, glad to know it's working. Doesn't show district or shows homes around the school. Oh, well, guys, there's a very real possibility that things have been updated since I last did this. I'm not going to tell you that we had an update to the app without knowing. Cinco Ranch High School, and yet, oh, there we go. So at least it zooms in on Cinco Ranch High School and then crashes my phone. But zooms in on Cinco Ranch High, so then I can at least see, okay, there's the homes around it. So pretty close. Diane says, I can see that my client downloaded my app. He said he's been hiding listings for me to see and sending me messages, but I've not received anything. Diane, I would 100% make sure that the app that he has is branded to you by sending him this screenshot, right? To make sure, or say, hey, do you see my face on the app? And then I'm going to show you where you should be getting those messages. They're happening in command. So if you're not spending time in command, that might be it, but we'll dive into that in just a second. Sheila, I've not searched for homes with pools. Let me see. I don't think pools is in here, but I could choose keyword and put in pool and then search for homes that way. Now, here's the deal with keyword searches. Some of us are tricky, and I'm not going to say that I haven't done it myself. And yet, if you put in your public description a pool-ready backyard, I believe that your listing would then show up, even though it doesn't have a pool, right? So if you use the word pool somewhere in the listing. So again, a lot of these features are continuing to be developed out, but right now you'd have to go the keyword route and then pray that there weren't a lot of shady people like me, all right? Steve, that's a feature request maybe in the future. Adriana, it does not include their taxes, right? It just includes their principal. And so that can throw off their payment significantly. Carla, yep, power lines is another great example of why you'd want to do Google Earth. And I think that is all the questions. All right, cool. So on the app, we have spent a lot of time in search on the bottom left. If you click on feed, you can see some developments that are starting to happen within the feed section. So at the very top, you can see saved searches, collections, and guide. Okay, right now, I haven't set up any saved searches for myself. So in the future, you'll actually have the ability to set up a saved search within Command that will show up on their app. I don't believe that connection is 100% working right now. And yet soon, right? I could also create collections of properties for my agent that I think they might like, for my consumer, excuse me, and then send them that way. And then I do believe guide is working. So I'll show you about, that's where we're going to transition into next. But this feed section right now being developed as we speak. Here's the cool thing, and I hate giving out dates, but I know I can trust you guys because you're Premier. 24 to 48 hours, fingers crossed, you should have an update to your app, and it's going to be really, really cool, okay? If it doesn't come in 48 hours, don't blow up my email or my text. That's just a ballpark figure, okay? I haven't told anyone else that, but that's what they're telling us as RTTs. Within the next 48 hours, there should be a big app update. I'm going to show you the cool things that that's going to include at the end of the webinar here. All right, let's click on guide. Guide is in the center of the screen. Right? What does guide talk about? It tells the consumer the buying process with who. Megan, if you have my app, the buying process is with who?
You.
But I didn't write that, Megan.
But it's your app.
Oh, so you mean that the consumer is going to infer or just assume that I wrote this, and that these are the steps of buying with me or my team.
Absolutely.
Cool. So is it important that I probably know what these steps say?
Might help.
I'm delivering on the expectations that I am inadvertently or maybe unknowingly setting for my consumers?
Absolutely.
Guys, you know I love giving homework. Okay, so your next piece of homework is going through these two guides. You've got a buying guide and a selling guide. Your first piece, guys, just explore. Click on each one of the steps and read through what it says. I would probably have a piece of paper or a notebook or something handy, and I would start taking notes on each one of these steps. Do I do all of these things? If I don't do anything on this step, I need to write a note. Is there anything on this step that I do that's not included? If so, I need to write a note. Okay, and go through each one of the steps. Is there something I don't necessarily agree with? I don't necessarily want them to do that. Right? Remember, this is a group of developers writing a guide for the nation. Can you imagine how different real estate is done across 50 states? So it is very comprehensive while being very generic at the same time. So walk through each one of these steps. Make sure, hey, do I agree with everything that's happening in each one of these steps, right? So if you are done, you've gone through all 9 of the buying steps and all 5 of the selling steps, I'm going to show you the ability to go in and start making some changes and edits. Let me ask you, show of hands, everyone got the raise your hand button at the very bottom. How many of you think that there might just possibly be more than 5 steps in the selling process? Anyone think that that's maybe just a little light, right? Like we already have to fight for our 3% commission, and then we're going to give them an app that says, hey, I do about 5 things and then I get paid. Cool, thanks. Cash and checks. So, right, these are very comprehensive steps. I'm not trying to downplay the work that KWRI has done. They're very comprehensive steps. And yet, in my opinion, I would break out these steps. That's my recommendation. So for example, showing your home. It's a very comprehensive step. Look at all the information that's included in that step. However, I might recommend that you break it out into multiple steps. Step 1, staging your home, and then talk to them in that step about, right, fresh mulch, power wash the driveway, fresh paint, get the dogs and cats out of the way, change all the light bulbs so they all match. God forbid you have light bulbs that are out, all the different things that you know about staging. Do they get to meet with your stager, right? And if that's the case, then yeah, you want to put that information in there as well. Preparing step 2, preparing your home for photography or videography, right? I used Mel Garrett when I was in Katy. He always wanted all the blinds facing upwards because light on the ceiling makes a bigger room. We got to make sure there's no cars in the driveway. We've got to make sure that, you know, the ceiling fans are off because they'll make a blur if they're going on. And those types of things that you can do. Make sure the dog isn't home. Make sure your kids aren't running through the house. Don't follow him around. That just annoys him, right? So different things that you can do within each of those steps. Preparing your home for the MLS is step 3. I'm going to get the photos back from my photographer, the videos back from my videographer. I'm going to describe, I'm going to write picture descriptions and a full description. I'm going to upload all the information you filled out on your seller's disclosure, etc., 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 right? Then we're going to show your home. So we've done 4 steps and we haven't even shown the home yet. So that's my recommendation, is that you go in, explore these guides, and then determine what you want to do to plus them, if you will. So at this point, we're taking off the consumer hat. We're going to transition into putting on your agent hat. I'm going to show you to start guides, and then we're going to start talking about sharing the app, and then we're going to dive into the update, okay? So let me get this pulled up real quick, and we'll get command over here. All right, so you should now see my command screen. Megan, you can see my command screen?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So building out your guides. Guides are found underneath the consumer applet. It's the second to last one. It says consumer here on the left-hand side. Guys, if you've never logged into command, oh, you keep me up at night. Agent.kw.com, log in using your username and password, you'll get to this screen, okay? I'm assuming that this amazing group of agents, they've all logged into command. So we're gonna go into the consumer applet. I'm gonna click on consumer, and it's gonna pull up 3 tabs here at the very top. I've got landing pages, I've got agent site pages, and I've got guide builder. I wanna go ahead and click on guide builder. Right now, you have 2 guides that are available. There's the buying guide and the listing guide. In the future, selling guide. In the future, you'll actually be able to create additional guides. So for example, what's the buying process look like with a first-time home buyer versus a luxury home buyer versus a farm and ranch home buyer versus a raw land or investment property, or, you know, you can think about all the different guides that you could build out in the future. But right now, it's one of each, okay? To customize these guides or change the content included on them, you're going to want to come over to the pencil icon. Anywhere in command that you want to make an edit, you should look for a pencil. Anytime you see a pencil, you should assume it means I can edit it. So we talked about the seller's guide. Let's click on the pencil there. And you can see here are the 5 steps that are automatically included. If I want to change one of the steps that is included, I click on the step. And you can see I can update the photo. I don't know many homes that look like this in Katy, Texas. I'm just going to throw that one out there. Okay, so you might want to change your photo. I can change the card title. I can change the card subtitle, which is kind of this teaser text here, if you will. And then as I scroll down, I get into the workspace details and the workspace text. That's all that information you see when you click on the actual step itself. This is how you would edit any one of these steps. Should you choose to add additional steps, you would click on add a step, and then you can see I can put in the card title, the subtitle, I can include an image. Once the step has been created, then you would click on it and you could get into the editing of the workspace details. By default, when you add a new step, this is where they show up. Okay, they show up here at the bottom. For me, we are in command now. So we have transitioned into command, and I clicked on the consumer applet on the left-hand side, and then I clicked on guide builder at the top. So we are in command on our browser, consumer, guide builder, and in this case, I chose the seller's guide of the two. So if I want to reorder these steps, I can just click on the 6 little dots and drag up or drag down. That's how I'm going to reorder the steps that are included in this case, the seller guide. Once I'm done making all my changes, I would only have to come up and click on Save Changes. And now I have a new version of the guide. It should auto update for anyone that has my app. Okay? So that's how you change, adjust, remove, add steps or information in any one of the steps. Now here's the cool thing, guys. This is a selling point when you're on an appointment. When you're on a listing appointment or a buyer's appointment, doesn't matter, they're both important. Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Seller, whoever they may be, I understand that when you are going through a real estate transaction, it can be very stressful, it can be very time consuming, there's a lot of hoops we have to jump through. Don't worry. When you work with me, you will always know where you stand as far as what are we doing now and what are we doing next. And that's through my KW Consumer app. I'm going to show you an example here, and you pull up your phone, right? And you pull up the app. You can see when you work with me, there are X number of steps in the selling process. I've actually outlined them all here. At any point you want to know what step we're on, you're going to see the step that we are on, and as we complete them, I will actually check them off for you. So you'll see a check mark in the app steps that are being completed. How do I do that? I want to make sure, first of all, that when they download the app and register, kind of like Rico asked at the beginning, when they register, they got to register with the email address that I have on their contact record. That's how the two connect. I know that they've registered using my actual contact record. Yes, Herbert, it's being recorded. So in opportunities, I have created a new opportunity and I have associated a contact with that opportunity that I know has downloaded my app. So here's the example. I'm just in a random, this isn't random, this is planned, but I'm in a listings pipeline cultivate phase, the closely watched lead stage. Here's the opportunity that I know Elena has downloaded my app. When I dive into the opportunity, this is a tab you probably haven't even played with, may not even know about. But if I click on seller profile, I can see that Elena has downloaded my app and she is registered with my consumer platform. This is how I know that she's downloaded it. Then I have the ability to manage the guide. So if I click on manage guide, you can see here are all the steps in the guide. And right now we have made it through inspection. We're waiting on appraisal. Let's say appraisal came in today. Of course, I'm going to email her, call her, text her, let her know. And I'm going to check off the guide step and click on save changes. And then save changes again. Several things just happened. Within Elena's guide, she just got a check mark next to appraisal. Within Elena's feed, she should now have a notification that we finished the appraisal step in the feed. And then additionally and finally, I can see this here within the opportunity. I can also see it if I go to Elena's contact record. If I click on go to contacts, you can see that I just completed that step. No, I didn't. That was yesterday's. But if it may take a second or two to update. So you can see, obviously I've been teaching this class several times. It updated this step yesterday when we did the inspection step. So it'll probably take a second or two to get that through. Somebody asked earlier, hey, how do I know what's happening? I'm coming back to that question. I think that was Jay. Jay, I'm coming back to you, trust me, okay? And that's kind of the cool part that's happening at the end with all the updates that are about to be here within the next, give or take, day to week. How do I get my app into people's hands? We've spent an hour and 15 or so talking about the app. You're in. You're like, this is cool. It's the best thing next to sliced bread. I want to get it into my consumers' hands. Help me get it into their hands, Marty. A couple of different ways, okay? First of all, you can actually share your app from within your app, okay? So if you come back into the actual app, when you're here as a consumer, you can share it and your consumers can share it. And give me just a second. There we go. It's pulling it back up. When they're in their More button, there's actually an option to share the KW app. Now you can do this just as easily as they can. You're just gonna have to change the wording slightly. So if I click on share the KW app, you can see that I can send it out via email, Facebook, message, any quick text, any of those types of things. So if I click on text, you'll see what the text actually says. Now, this is a little weird. I used a KW app to search for homes with myself, then myself. We don't want that to say, right? So I could actually just say, take out that, whoops, fat finger, sorry guys. Please use the KW app to search for homes with me, right? That's all I'm changing. If I had already had a conversation with someone, I just wanted to fire it off this way as a quick text, I could now send that to, here, I'll just put in Megan, right? All of a sudden, now Megan's gonna get a text from me, boom, there it goes. Now she can actually click on that link and get taken immediately to the App Store. And when she downloads that version, it'll look like this, meaning it's been branded to me. Now, Megan's not gonna do that because she's an agent. And you can see that you can share the app from within the app. And your consumer can share it as well. And as long as they're sharing underneath a version that's been branded to you, the link they send to their best friend, mom, husband, wife, sisters, brothers, cousins, uncle, will be branded to you as well. Okay, so that's number one, is you can share it within the app or have them share it. Number two, you actually have the ability to share a direct link from command. So in order to find that direct link, you're actually going to come to the consumer applet one more time. And at the top right-hand corner, you're going to see Site and App Settings. So I'm going to click on Site and App Settings, and you'll see 4 tabs. Teaser alert, there's going to be a 5th tab soon. We'll get there in just a second. Okay, but 4 tabs right now. If I click on URLs, you'll see it provides me with the app URL that I need to be sharing to get people to download my app if I'm not sharing it from the app, right? So 2 different versions. Either way, that's going to basically take you to the same spot. Ignore the bottom half. Oh, sorry, screen isn't sharing. You're just seeing me here sitting talking. Blah, 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 blah. There we go. Thanks, Steve and Terry. All right, so I went back into the consumer applet here on the left-hand side. Then I clicked on Site and App Settings. It doesn't matter which one of these tabs you're in, you can see Site and App Settings on them. And then I clicked on URLs. These were the 4 tabs that came up when I clicked on Site and App Settings here at the top. Then you can see App URL. This is what we're looking at. I want you guys to ignore the bottom half of this screen. Okay, the text code is not working well. Labs team has actually made the decision to remove that moving forward. There are some major inconsistencies with how it's working, when it's not working. They have worked with a variety of different people, the App Store and iPhone and Apple and Android, and bottom line, they're just over the inconsistencies, and not many people are using a text code anyway. So if for any reason your email signature or your branding or marketing has your text code, unfortunately, you're going to need to remove that, as pretty soon it will no longer actually work. Just stick with the app URL, the top half of this screen. So I can copy this, and then if I'm sending off an email, I could paste it into the email. If I'm on Facebook and having a message with somebody there, I could paste it there. If for some reason I'm texting via command, doing Twilio text, I could paste that in there. A variety of different ways that I could send out this actual link. Next, what if I want the link sent out for me? Man, it'd be nice if I could just put them on some kind of automated program that would send out the link for me. Well, congrats guys, there is. It's called Smart Plans. 4th icon down, it looks like a diploma here. 4th icon, I can click on it. I get taken into the Smart Plans, right? If you've never been in here, don't freak out that your screen doesn't look like mine. You may just have a blank screen right now. It just means that you haven't brought over any of the Smart Plans from the library into your Smart Plans. So if you click on Library, you'll see the 10 Smart Plans that KWRI has already developed for you on your behalf. You can click on View Steps on any of them, and you can see what that Smart Plan actually does. The Promote My App Smart Plan is the one that we're speaking of today. I can put people on this Smart Plan, and as soon as I put them on it, it's going to send them an automated email talking about my app. giving them the ability to download it from the email. Then just in case they don't check their email, the email goes to spam, it bounces back, it's gonna wait a day. And then as long as I have Twilio connected to my command account, it's going to send this text automatically on my behalf. If I don't have Twilio connected, it's gonna fire a task for me to send this text to that contact. If you guys haven't spent time learning about Twilio, it is a application that can be connected to your KW command account that sends out texts, right? So it's a texting program. It is not free. It does cost a whopping less than 1 penny per text. It's actually 0.0075 cents. So 7/10 of 1 cent to send out a text. Same cost to receive a text. It does send the texts from, a business line, meaning that it is your personal texting line. It is not your personal cell phone. How I get around that basically is I'm going to take it and say, all of my clients, I'm going to let them know, hey, guys, I just want to make sure that you're all aware of a new tech development that I have purchased for the use of my real estate business. I know oftentimes that you and I may have conversations about your real estate purchase, sale, or investment via text. It was important for me to make sure that I kept those texts both secure and separated from the personal text for my wife asking me to pick up eggs, milk, and bread from the grocery store, right? So I've invested in a business text line that you can send me text to at any point that will keep those texts private and secure, and I'll be able to access them at any point from both my phone and my laptop. Just know that the number will look a little different, and then you can choose if you just want to, it automatically gives you a 512 number. You can actually go to Twilio support for $1 a month, purchase a local area code, and then it'll come from that phone number. It is not going to come from your personal cell number. Know that they cannot call that number. So the last portion of the information I send to my clients is also, if you ever need me via phone, please be sure to call me on my personal cell phone number, as my business text line is for just that, business text. And that way they know, don't call that number. Okay, so that's Twilio. This is an example of the text that goes out. Then it's gonna wait 3 more days, the smart plan will, and it's gonna send out a second text. If you have not already, to use this plan, you need to add it to your personal library. Once you have added it, you'll see a copy of it in your library. Now here's the cool thing. This one actually has a pencil next to it, meaning that it is edited. You can see the pencil here is grayed out on the quarterly call plan. You can't edit that one. However, you can edit the Promote My App Smart Plan. So you can click on it. And if you're looking at those 2 text messages and you're saying, oh, I'd like to add a little bit or do a little different or change something, awesome, guys. You have the ability to come in here and edit these text messages. This text message probably doesn't look like the one you have. I can guarantee you I know one thing is different. As the son of an elementary educator and an elementary principal, punctuation was always big on my family. Yours has a period right here, okay? So got to make sure you put the question mark. That's just me. I was the editor of my high school newspaper as a sophomore, junior, and senior. So it tells you a little bit about my background. You can come in and add additional smart fields. Okay, merge fields is what these are called. You can see this text would actually be 100% customized to the person that is receiving it. It says, hey, and then contact first name. Hey, Megan. Hey, Steve. Hey, Michelle, right? So the merge fields are located over here. And you can see these are all the different merge fields that I could add in. It's going to search for this piece of information from the contact record associated on the smart plan and add it in. Okay, that's what merge fields do. In any of the smart plans that have texts involved in them, you can edit the texts and include merge fields. Okay, you can see you can also edit the second one as well. Whenever I'm sending a Twilio text, meaning that it's a smart plan that has a text involved in it, I always make sure I edit it to have my name. So it says, hey, it's Marty with KW. Hey, this is Marty Miller with KW, whatever it may say. Because oftentimes, remember, they knew that you got a business text line, but they'll forget it the next day. Then they're gonna get a random text from a number they don't recognize that says blah, blah, blah. And if they don't know it's from you, they're gonna be like, who is this? What are you talking about? So anytime, just kind of as a side note, you are using a smart plan that includes a Twilio-based text, always make sure you identify yourself in that text message. So edit those so that you know it's coming from you. Option number 1, share them the direct link to your app. Option number 2, put people on the Promote My App Smart Plan. Now that this app has been, this smart plan has been added to my library, all I have to do is come into any contact, and on the right-hand side, I'm going to see Smart Plans, and then I can click on Add to Smart Plan, and then I'm going to choose Promote My App. Once I select that, it's going to say, hey, do you want to start it now or do you want to wait? Let's go ahead and start it now. It's going to say, this is what's going to happen. This is who it's going to go to. By the way, if you have a Twilio account set up, all the messages will be sent from your number. Funny story about that, ask me some other time. And then I can click on confirm. And now Shante has been added to the Promote My App Smart Plan. You can now see it's running in her smart plans right here, my Promote My App. So she just got an email sent to her at this email address about my app. Put them on the smart plan, okay? Option number 3, utilize social media. I can come into the campaigns applet. It's the 7th one down here on the left-hand side. When I click on campaigns, I have a variety of options. We're going to talk about the free option today, okay? How do I add content to my Facebook or Twitter accounts to talk about my app? First of all, I've got to make sure that those accounts are connected underneath the settings menu. Okay? You cannot schedule a post on your personal profile page. You can only schedule them on your business page. So if you don't have a Facebook business page, you need to go create one in order to use this function. Once it's been created, you'll connect it underneath the settings menu within command. Now that it's been connected, and if you don't know how to do that, follow up with someone at your office, watch the videos that I have, you can get that done pretty quickly. I'm going to click on social posts, okay? You can see here's a calendar of this week, what's happening on my page. I can kind of scroll through, see the different things that are happening as well. Looks like next week I've got a post going out on Monday, but nothing happening on Wednesday or Friday. Man, I'd really like to post about my app on Wednesday and maybe again on Friday, but I just don't know what to say. I don't know how to create any cool looking designs. I'm not real good at any of that. Great, don't worry about it, neither am I. Let's scroll down on this right-hand side. You'll see suggested quick posts. Skip over the video campaign for neighborhoods and come down, and you're going to see 2 professionally created and designed posts specifically regarding your app. So I've already got one post going out on Monday. I can click on this little arrow, and it's going to say, all right, here's the post. I don't even have to think about the wording. I don't even have to remember that weird app link. It's already all included. Maybe I don't like this wording. Give me another example. Shuffle. Oh my goodness, there's another one. But I want to add just a little more sentence in there, or I like emojis. So let's click on that, and let's click on that, and then let's click on that. All right, now I've got an emoji because everyone likes emojis. I can edit the text at any point. The marketing piece has already been added for me. My DBA logo has already been added for me. And then you can see it's either going to allow me to schedule the post or publish it immediately. Let's go ahead and schedule it for that Wednesday that I was missing content. Wednesday the 13th, next Wednesday. I like all of my posts to go out at 9 a.m. just to be consistent. And I'd like for that to go out on my Facebook business page and my Twitter account. Now all I have to do is click on schedule posts. It's going to allow me to preview what it looks like in Facebook, also what it looks like on Twitter. Once I click on schedule post, I now have a post that has been scheduled on 2 separate channels for next Wednesday, and that's what it's going to look like. How long did that take me, guys? 5 minutes maybe? Cool, you want to do another one for next Friday? All right, great. Well, here's another one. Oh, what's that you say? You don't like blue houses? All right, cool. Click on shuffle, and now I've got another new one. Click on shuffle again. Another new one. I'm just going to click on shuffle one more time, and then again, and then again, and then again. Look at all the different, right? There's about 10 different options that it's going to search through. And you can just click on shuffle until you get to one. Now, here's the one I really like. You're looking at the screen saying, why does Marty like a black picture? It's just a big black block. Like, what does that talk about? This is actually a video, guys. This is the app video from Family Reunion. If you weren't there, I'll play you about 15 seconds of it. So you can see, here's a professionally designed marketing video about your app. How long would that take you, and how much money would that cost you to have built yourself? I want to post this video to one of my social media channels. Again, click on the arrow. It's already got a description. It's already got the video loaded. It defaults to publish immediately. However, I can come in and say, all right, I already have this one going out on May 11th because I taught the class yesterday. I'm pretty sure it's going out this week as well. So I'm going to throw it on the 25th at 9 a.m. as well. And then I want to make sure it goes out on Twitter as well. And I'm going to click on schedule post. What does it look like on Facebook? What's it look like on Twitter? Schedule the post. Boom, I'm done. Guys, your next piece of homework is one that lives on. Every single week, go time block 20 minutes. I don't care if it's Monday morning, Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday over lunch, and come in to social posts and post 2, 3, 4 times a week about your app. The Facebook algorithm will ensure, unfortunately, that not all of your people see all of your posts. So don't worry too much about, oh, I should probably just post once a week. No, post more than that so that your people are seeing your post about your apps. Even if they see it twice or 3 times, don't you think they're going to be like, man, he posts about this a lot. Maybe I should check it out. Great. Yes, you should. And let's go ahead and make sure we get that information included in there. So you saw that literally was just 2 posts. It would have taken me another 2 minutes to do the 3rd post. Within 10 minutes, I've now got 3 professionally designed posts scheduled to go out on my Twitter and Facebook page, right? So if I refresh this screen, you're going to see now this week, here's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then next week, Monday, Wednesday, right? I didn't get anything on Friday because I already had the video going out, but I could quickly come in and just say, yep, let's throw this one out. That's next Friday. And I want to schedule it. And there it is. And oops, 9 a.m. And Twitter and Facebook, and schedule it, and boom, we're done, right? So now I have that scheduled as well. Marcy, can you do the same post on emails only? No, you can. Emails is a touchy subject, Marcy. I'm going to be real transparent with you. The email editor in Command is being developed. It works with an asterisk. Yeah, so no, the answer is no, Marcy. So I talked to you about updates. Right now, someone asked, hey, can I see what they're doing? Marty, I want to see what they are doing. Right now, I told you earlier, Elena has my app. I can see some very limited versions of what Elena is doing when she's on my app. So you can see last week, she viewed listings. So I can actually click on any one of these listings, and then I can see what the listing was. Guys, you think Austin, I mean, our real estate is rough? Austin, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, less than 1,000 square feet for 400,000. Just like, what? Santa Maria Street, right? Here's another one. 325 for a 1-1, less than 700 square feet. Just like, man, maybe I'm just going to stay in Katy for the rest of my life, right? So you can quickly and easily see what she is viewing. You can see that I've clicked off seller's guides, right, in the past. Then you can see other listings that she has viewed. In the future, and then I can see, I go all the way back to her history. I can see when she created her account. Here's what's coming in the future, guys. Get excited because we got some new updates. So soon, again, with a grain of salt, 24, 48, 72 next week, somewhere in that range. You'll be able to see when they are searching based upon the criteria that they search for. So Elena might have put in Austin, 2+ bedrooms, less than 450, and she might have drawn on the map, right? We're going to start to see that sort of activity. We're going to be able to see when they register. We're going to be able to see when they're viewing a neighborhood. Remember when I looked at Ellison and I could see the information on Ellison? I looked at Cinco Ranch, whichever one, Fountain View. So I'd be able to see in my contact record for Elena when she's viewing a neighborhood. Why would that be important? If she's looking at a neighborhood that she's interested in, I should probably be looking at that neighborhood as well to find out, okay, I'd like to know what's happening in that neighborhood, because if she asks me, I probably want to know what's happening, right? Anytime they edit a collection, add a property to a collection, view a listing, or add a guide builder step, all of those things we're going to be able to start seeing in the contact record. Next, featured listings. Remember when I told you there were 4 tabs and there's going to be a 5th soon? This is that 5th tab. So this will be found underneath the consumer applet. Okay, so remember the consumer applet was this one, second to the last. Okay, this was consumer. So when you click on that consumer applet, you're going to see a new tab called featured listings. The agent is going to be able to select up to 12 listings that they want featured on their agent site and on the consumer app. Okay? You can also choose what the headline says. It defaults to featured listings. On the agent site, it's going to be right below the search box. So on your site, there's that search box. Then there's going to be a carousel. I don't know how many properties will be in the carousel, whether it's going to be 4 or 3 or 6 or what, but they'll be able to carousel you through the 12 featured listings up to the 12 featured listings that you have added. On their app, they're going to get a default collection. So it defaulted to first names favorites, right? Marty's favorites. Then they should have one that says featured listings or something similar to that on their app. You do not have to use this feature. So if you're sitting there as a new agent and you're like, hey, I don't have any listings to feature, cool, don't worry about it. The consumer won't know. It's not like there's going to be a featured listings button and then just like nothing, okay? So it'll only be there should you choose to use this route. Additionally, Sandra, I don't believe so. I think they have to be your listings. I'm not 100% on that, but I believe when you click on select listings, it's only going to pull up listings that have been tied to you. So it's a great question. I'm not 100% on that, but as I currently understand, they have to be your listings. Next, consumers are going to be able to actually schedule a tour from the KW app. I'm going to show you, this is actually live on our agent sites right now. You may not have known that. However, from the app, they'll be able to actually schedule a tour. You can see they would click on a new button at the bottom called Schedule Tour. Then they'll be actually able to choose the date that they want to see the property and then a time frame, so morning, afternoon, or evening. They can decide whether they want to do that in person or via live video. And then if they want to do live video, what format are they looking for? And then they can leave you a note. From there, you're actually going to see a request show up within your command contact record for that person. You'll get an alert in command as well that has the red dot will show up, right? If you haven't seen that before, I'll show you in just a second. And then you'll be able to see what the actual request looks like. If we go back into agent sites, if you guys haven't played on your own agent site, you should be. So I can go to my agent site. I have to register, right? So I have to be a registered user on my site. So you can see I've already signed in. However, if I go into any listing now, and think about this as a consumer that's on my site, they can click on a listing and they can actually be taken to the opportunity to schedule video tour. And when they click on that, they're going to get these options. Again, they can select what day, what time of day. They can choose more than one here. Okay, and as I understand it, it'll be the same way in the app. If they want to do live video, then they would choose which platform, and you'll have to communicate with them offline as far as, okay, great, I have that, I don't have that, etc. Okay, and then they request the tour. When that happens, you're going to get an alert, and it'll actually, I've already dismissed it. Sorry, I had it this morning, but it will say, hey, Marty has requested an actual, a request for a virtual tour, and then you would actually be able to see the request that came in and what that information looked like. Okay, so that's what's coming soon with regards to the app as well. Right now it's live, as you can see, in the actual agent site, and it will be live on the app once that release comes out. One more, I think. Yes, so custom guide builder, I told you guys about this, that's happening soon. You'll be able to actually create additional guides that you can then either copy and paste the same steps from the default one or add additional steps as well. So those are all things that are coming down the pike here pretty soon. So pretty exciting stuff. I'm going to go back to Q&A. Mary, what if we've had great campaigns running, but we're getting no leads and only ad clicks? Mary, they're working through some things there with regards to the Facebook integration. The first thing that I would always recommend is that, I can't show you, I don't have any active ones running, but when you're in your campaign, sometimes you can actually see the number, you can click on that, or go into Facebook on Facebook's back end and pull the ad from there and see what's happening there. The second thing, Mary, is that you want to make sure that when you ran the ad, you absolutely selected Facebook lead gen form. It's a completely different class. I'm not going to go into it real deep, but just make sure that there's two options when you create an ad. There's the landing page option and the Facebook lead gen form option. Even when you use the Facebook lead gen form option lately, there's been a couple of hiccups. However, if you choose landing page only, you will not get any leads. They will click on the ad and be taken immediately to the landing page where they can then see whatever you were attempting to show them. So if you are running ads specifically to get leads, you want to make sure that you have done the Facebook lead gen form ad option. Completely different class, but that's the basics as far as that goes. Anyone else have any other questions? I know we went over a little bit over. I appreciate you guys letting me intrude on your lunch. But any other questions about the consumer app? How do I search? What can I do? Why is it so cool? Why do I need to get off on those other apps and get using this one? What can I do in Command with regards to the app? What can I see in Command with regards to the app? One last thought, and then I'll let you guys go. Be careful. Two different schools of thoughts when you're talking to your consumers about the consumer app. The first school of thought, tell them you know what they're doing. When I say that, I mean, when you share with them the consumer app, talk to them about all the highlights. Super cool, and here's the reason why it's super cool. Anytime you favorite a listing, I'll know about it, I can see. Anytime you create a collection, I'll know about it, I can see. Anytime that you write all the different things. God forbid, someone creates a collection and it says, you know, once I divorce him collection, or something dramatic like that. You can think about that, right? Like, if they didn't know that you could see, that could lead to some really ugly or awkward conversations. So option number one, let them know I can see everything you're doing. Option number two, play dumb. Okay, I was driving through the neighborhood. I saw a listing I thought you might be interested in. It fit all the criteria we were talking about. It's listed at 123 Main Street. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. I was on your app this morning and I actually favorited that property. Oh wow, what a coincidence. Do you want to see it tonight or first thing tomorrow morning, right? What I would not do is call your client and say, hey, looks like you were up at 2 in the morning last night favoriting properties. I saw them all. Do you want to go see them today? And they're like, I didn't realize you could see what I was doing on my phone at 2 in the morning. I hope you didn't see anything else, right? Like, then they get real nervous or real weirded out. So want to make sure that they understand I can see everything that you're doing. Guys, like I said, this was recorded. I'm sending the link to your leadership team probably by tomorrow, maybe the next day. I'll do my best to get it to them no later than tomorrow. So if you did show up late, if I talked too fast, if you missed some information, feel free to rewatch it. I'm sure they'll send it out to the rest of the Market Center as well. Guys, I miss you guys. I love you guys. Premier, you know, you never forget your first Market Center. So can't wait to see you guys in person in the future very soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care.
Hey, Marty.
Yes,
Can I wanted to say something for the people that are left on here as a reminder. This afternoon is Bold, and we need you to join the Bold Pivot Facebook group if you haven't. Also, we have Diana Kokoska, who is going to be our masterclass tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So it's just a reminder. She's speaking to our Market Center.
And I have no reason not to doubt that because it's amazing. And two, I'm sitting over here already thinking, what am I doing tomorrow afternoon? How can I sneak into that class?
There you go. Just call us.
Yeah, right? Well, great job.
Thank you so much.
Go watch Diana. She's amazing. And as always, guys, I appreciate your time. And if you need anything, you've got an amazing tech team there, an amazing leadership team. But as always, reach out. Let me know how I can help.
Thanks, Marty.
All right, take care, Megan. See you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.